beautiful souls. I'm Tara Green, downtown New York City at the One World Trade Tower, One World Trade Center that is left. It's the 18th year anniversary today, September 11th, from when the towers were exploded. This morning, Julian and I watched experts speak out, and we learned a lot about engineers and people who are very knowledgeable on the subject speaking about how the towers actually collapsed, and we watched the footage in detail of shrapnel shooting out like from explosions and seeing traces of melted concrete and metal, which is just not possible to be melting under the temperatures of jet fuel, or fires which are just an apartment, like they're oxygen-starved environments, and there's no way that iron and steel and things could be melting at such temperatures. So it was really enlightening to read that, and we're down here at the Trade Center now looking around. There's a lot of tourists, and to go inside it costs about $30 per person to go and see the memorial. So I can see they're making a killing.
Hey, I'm Julian Feldman here at World Trade Center, One World Tower, symbolic of One World God. This morning we watched part of Experts Speak Out, which is a film made by Richard Gage, who is an architect who founded the organization Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, which is over, I believe at this point, 2,000, maybe 2,500 architects and engineers, structural engineers, anyone who has any kind of knowledge in relation to buildings and how they're made, and they all agree that the official story that it just sort of came down, the steel was weakened and then the gravity just did the rest is not true. They all offer a controlled evidence for a controlled demolition, such as the speed and the rate at which it fell, and the way that there were particulates kind of exploding into multiple directions as the building was falling, the countless eyewitness reports of people describing an explosion, the nanoparticulates of thermite which were found, and just that there's never been building a high-rise, steel high-rise in history that has ever collapsed into its own footprint from fires. So yeah, it's pretty compelling.
Yeah, so in the entire history, when there's never been a building that's collapsed like that, all of a sudden 3 collapsed with no way possible because the metal was melting. So I'm curious to know, when looking around at all of these people, if there's anybody here who's aware. What do you think about 9/11 being an inside job?
Inside jobs? Like in New York City here?
Yeah. What do you think about the idea that there's not the whole truth being told about the towers that collapsed?
So, like the victims, people are demanding, the truth to be told. But, some people, they understand that, till this time, some don't get the truth, some are thinking about conspiracy, some about terrorism, so it's not clear for some people.
Do you think that what the government said about what happened here is true, or is there more information that they're not saying?
So for myself, it's true. I cannot go forward, so it's true. For some people, they talk about conspiracy.
Do you remember where you were when the towers collapsed?
Yeah, I was in high school.
You were in high school.
Do you have any doubts of the official story, or do you believe what the media and the government has put out in terms of what happened here?
To be honest, I have heard a lot about the conspiracy stories, but it feels so real when you're over there. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that they really collapsed and there was really a tragedy. Either way, 3,000 people really died. Have you heard much about it being an inside job, planned?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have heard about that, but it just feels so massive. The loss of human lives seems so massive that you need to be beyond evil to do like an inside job that horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Are you aware that plenty of high-rise steel buildings have caught on fire throughout human history, but none have actually collapsed due to fires, and that they found particulates of thermite, which is only possible from explosions? and that they basically fell at free fall speed, which would mean there would have to be no resistance. It's like if I dropped my phone and it just fell. All these structural steel, all of them. These buildings were actually designed to take a hit of a plane bigger than the 707 that fell into them.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really looked that much into the sort of like the engineering or the physics, but yeah.
If it's even a remote possibility that there would be people evil enough to pull this off, which would mean that there's nothing that they wouldn't do to advance their agenda, do you think it's every human being's responsibility to look into this, just in case, to exhaust all avenues, just to make sure that there's no sinister agenda behind there? Because if there is, it implicates things well beyond just the collapse of the building.
Yeah, if it was an inside job, it should be out there. It's one of the most evil things that I can possibly imagine.
Would you trust a video made by architects and engineers who have been in the field for plenty of years and going on record to say that they believe it's controlled demolition? If it's like a free YouTube video that you could just watch in an hour?
So to be honest, I am skeptical of YouTube. There's a ton of information out there, but yeah, if there's like a scientific review,
there is.
I would be more than.
It's called Experts Speak Out.
Experts Speak Out. Okay.
If you look that up with 9/11, you will find a video full of architects and engineers giving their professional opinion as to why this was impossible to collapse in any way except for in controlled demolition.
There's so many people here at the memorial. Even though it's late in the evening, this place has probably been packed all day. It's full of people and nobody. We've talked to several people, and a lot of people are unwilling to speak, especially people who are wearing businessy type suits, people who work here. I think it's probably forbidden for them to even talk about their experience or their opinion, though there have been a few that were willing to share. Some were willing to share, but not on camera. Common theme is that if anyone were to believe such a sinister conspiracy, that would mean that there's some really evil people who have a lot of power and control.
Get to talk to more people, but the vast majority of people didn't want to give us the time of day, answer the question. They were just kind of in their own worlds. And I'm aware that's part of the whole New York mentality, but I do think it's just a deeper, it implicates something deeper, that people really don't want to look at the potential that the official story isn't true. Because if you accept that it isn't, which it isn't, there's a whole, it opens up a can of worms so dark and deep that it's difficult to look at. But in the world that we live in, which is that there are an evil agenda of people who were willing to do this, and the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, just the newest conspiracy theory. But you have to be willing to look at that dark truth to accept the world that we're living in.
There are some things that are just so evil that it's hard to believe them, but we cannot continue to turn a blind eye when these things are real, and we have to look at what is so that we can move forward and actually come up with solutions to not be living in the oppression of the evil people who would kill 3,000 people and start wars that have continued and killed millions more, and we've lost so many freedoms as a result of what happened here today. Yeah, what an experience being here on ground zero. It's a strange energy to feel like all of the death and destruction and corruption that has taken place and continues to take place right on these grounds. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like and a subscribe, and blessed be, stay wild and free.